Okay, so this week what I want to talk about, while I want to come across as always positive and coaching is really incredible, I also want to make sure that I don't cover up for myself, that I don't cover up the realities of when I talk about being neurodiverse, being just wired a little unconventional, what some of the parts of that can be. And one thing in particular for me is I can be very emotionally sensitive at times. I've worked for years to lessen the volume on that sensitivity and to have better and different coping skills. And a couple weeks ago, I got really hijacked. And really looking back now, it was very clear that it was probably one of the worst episodes of RSD, which is Rejection Sensitivity Dysphoria is how they describe it. I'd call it the world's worst name, but it's basically when, and I'll walk you through it. It was when I perceived that actually a psychiatrist who was doing my ADHD testing, that the test results came back as being, they came back actually very inconclusive is what the results were. And I translated that, my sensitive system translated that into, oh, look, here's some more validation that you aren't smart, you're not good, you're not enough. Really, it all boiled down to, I translated that very quickly, within seconds. My body translated that into you're not enough. And what happened after that was that I walked around with that belief. And as soon as you have that belief going on, it's like the red, when you think you're going to buy a red car and everything looks red, I went and supported that belief because I brought that belief forward. I then supported it. And that's typically how an RSD episode happens. Like you something creates a sensitivity, an immense emotional sensitivity, and you start to have, I think it's a combination of a panic attack, some anxiety, some depression. It's this lovely dance and flare of a bunch of things, and it's not fully based in an existing trauma like that's happening in this moment. Once I was able to wrap my head around what was happening and apply a variety of the tools that I teach a lot of my clients, but I also have in my toolbox for myself. And I reached out and got some additional help, like asked some friends that also deal with this and got their insight. Once we got this sensitivity, once we got this perspective that I was not enough, and once we got what was said back into reality and what was said, which was the fact that my IQ test came out very high, that I'm immensely high visual. Like once we assessed all the positives and then embrace the fact that I continue to not actually check. I'm not an in the box person, period. I've done a variety of tests over the years. I am not going to fit into any of the current testing boxes, and that's another whole video. But I wanted to talk about that. As a leader, we can get hijacked by past things that we don't even realize. I watch it in a variety of my clients all the time. And when you don't understand that that's happening, when you don't take the time to do a retrospective on something, which is what I did. This week's article is, I broke it down. There were actually 10 clues. I'd show with my other hand, but I can't at the moment. There were 10 clues that came across in that process as I was being kind of eaten by those feelings. That would be a great way to put it. As I was being eaten by those feelings, there were 10 clues that I actually received that at any time I could be like, oh, that's a clue. Okay, I've got 3 clues now. I should apply my toolkit, right? I should pull out my emotional hijack toolkit and get myself back on solid ground, get myself re-grounded. And so because I didn't do that and didn't notice the signs, I noticed them quicker than I would have normally, considering the level of hijack. I did really well. This was about a 3-day type of thing, and I did not completely shut down. That has actually happened to me years ago. I used to completely, unfortunately, shut down, meaning getting out of bed became complicated within a matter of hours type of thing, and then just like digging myself out of that. Instead, this was like, well, I can see these things are happening, but I know this is BS. I don't have the bandwidth right now to clean it all up, but I have the bandwidth to challenge these truths that my brain is throwing out at me that I'm 100% sure are not. and it was great. I'm actually really proud of the experience, but as leaders, you need to be able to do that. You will do not. I laugh when people are like, oh, I never get hijacked. I'm like, let me hang out with you for about 3 weeks. And then let me push you outside your comfort zone, and then have your team push you outside your comfort zone. I will see and get to see those things. And then we just need some tools to wrap around that so that when those things happen, and each time they happen, like this being such a big experience, I know I'm probably not going to have another situation for years, because I've now got so many tools and balances to it, and I understand what this looks like. I'm excited, honestly. Like, it added in a new layer of grounding. I'm so glad that it happened, but I wanted to share that with you. So as a coach, I am incredibly skilled. I have a lot of tools, and I'm human. And there are moments that my human gets caught up in the world too, and my past, because I do have trauma in my past, that past mixed in with my neurodiversity, it can create some situations at times that I have to take a breath, get regrounded, and take care of myself. And the sooner I do that, the shorter that whole moment lasts, and the more I don't harm anybody else as far as with being angry and needing to protect myself. It's just incredible. So leadership starts from within. It starts with knowing how to take care of yourself and maintain yourself. That is not anybody else's job. That is my job. That was my job to communicate that with my significant other while it was happening, which I did. And he was listening and like super curious. He's like, where are these thoughts coming from? I'm like, oh no, they're not based in reality. I'm like, these are thoughts based in fear. And I'm like, so just let me say them out loud, because then they become way less fearful when they're outside of my head. Like, those were some of the clues that I was having through that process. So it's also part of why I did, and I mentioned it last week, I did create that unconventional leaders blueprint, because these are the kind of things, because we are just human, and there are parts of our past that will all of a sudden become present, and do you know how to manage them so that they do not affect your future? And if anything, they actually improve your future, because now you get to learn something from that and apply it and have more compassion and understanding for the people around you. Because guess what? We all get hijacked emotionally. My experience isn't. They call it RSD because we use a lot of labels in the neurodiverse sphere, because we're always trying to understand why or how something is happening. It is definitely part of our group and our neurology. So we apply a lot of labels so we can make sense of things. That doesn't mean these labels don't apply to the whole rest of the world. So do your absolute best. Know that if you have an extreme sensitivity hijacking and emotional hijacking, there are incredible tools that can help you out. Meditation, breathing, just talking, having a trusted advisor. By advisor, I mean somebody you can just speak freely with about, oh my gosh, this is happening. I'm not saying nice things to myself today. Like, this is not okay. Just simple things like that. Honestly, take all the air out of that balloon, because fear and anxiety, they just want to fill up a helium balloon and float it off into they just want to fill that thing so full of hot air, so full of BS. And when you are able to let the air out of that balloon, which that's what it is, when you get grounded, all the air comes out of the balloon drops to the ground, and you're done. You don't experience it anymore. You've moved on. That's all that is. But boy, if they keep you in your head, they're just feeling that, like you are just expanding into their sphere. And I'm not living there. I'm not feeding that crap, and neither are you. And I believe that. So thank you for joining me. I'm JoyGenea, international neurodiversity coach and leadership coach, helping the unconventional thinker and build an incredible playbook and do amazing things for this world. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this video, don't forget to mention that. If you should share this with somebody, because boy, they have experiences like this, pass it on. This knowledge isn't meant for you to just watch and hold on to. Keep sharing it. And I want to hear your stories. Please feel free to share if you've had moments like that and what you use as your tools. Thank you and goodbye.